Fifth graders, today is Tuesday, March 10th, and we are doing Module 4, Lesson 18. And today we're going to continue to talk about how decimals and fractions are related, or the same, really. And we're going to be able to write multiplication equations in several forms, in fraction form, unit form, and also using the standard algorithm for decimals. Okay? Let's first talk about the problem of the Today, as I said, we are going to be writing multiplication equations in 3 different forms. Well, really 4 forms. Decimal form, which is what's given to us, fraction form, unit form, and standard algorithm with the decimals. And I'm going to show you what that means, okay? Let's take on fraction form first. In your notebooks, please write down 3.2 times 2.1. That's the problem we're working with. Let's convert each of those factors into a fraction. 3.2, that's the same as... If I take away the decimal point, what number do we have there?
32.
And it's 32 tenths. Good. So I have 32 tenths times, if I follow the same pattern, what would the second term be?
21 tenths.
Yeah, exactly, 21 tenths. Now you could also write it as mixed numbers. It could be 3 and 2 tenths times 2 and 1 tenth. But it's harder for us to multiply like that, okay? But that would also be correct. Now, once we have it in the fraction form, we have it in unit form. It's very easy. You just write 32 tenths times 21 tenths. Do you guys see how so far fraction form and unit form are very similar? Right? I'm going to erase the mixed numbers. Now, let's go back to the fraction form for a second. If I multiply, what do I have in the numerators? 32 times 21. In the denominators, I have 10 times 10. Okay. Now let's move over to the unit form for a second. Let's multiply. If I have 32 tenths times 21 tenths, I can multiply 32 times 21, right? That's 1 times 2, which is 2. 1 times 3 is 3. Now I'm working in the tens, or the next place value, so I'm going to put a placeholder 0. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 3 is 6. And then if I add it all up, I have 672. Do you guys agree? So far this math is pretty simple, right? What numbers did I just multiply? 32 times 21. So that means if I move back over to fraction form now, what do I have in my numerator? 32 times 21 is 672. Do you guys see how the math is the same thing, right? Now in the denominator, I have 10 times 10, which I know is 100. So my answer is 672 hundredths. If I want to rewrite that into a mixed number, how many wholes do I have?
6.
Okay, and then I have 72 hundredths left over. I could simplify that. Now, moving back over to unit form. Is my answer 672? No, because I have to think about the units. If I have tenths times tenths, what's 1 tenth times 1 tenth? 100. So my answer is actually in hundredths. Because tenths times tenths equals hundredths. I have to remember the units. Okay, and if you forget, you just think to yourself, what's 1 tenth times 1 tenth? Well, that's going to be 1, 10 times 10, 100. Make sense? How do I write 6.72 hundredths in standard form? Well, I have 672, and I know my rightmost digit, my 2, needs to be in the what's place?
Hundreds.
And so if I put the decimal point, it needs to be in between the 6 and the 7. Is 6 and 72 over 100 the same thing as 6.72? Now, if I use the standard form for standard algorithm, I write 3.2 times 2.1. Now, are we ready to multiply?
No.
We need to change and undo. This is what the standard algorithm, remember we talked about this a long time ago? So, do I have to change 3.2? How do I change it? Times 10, good. Okay. Do I have to change 2.1? How do I have to change it?
Times 10.
Okay, so I had 2 times 10s for my changes. Now I have 32 times 21. Okay, I'm going to end up with the same over here, right? I do the standard algorithm. And because I changed, what do I need to do?
Undo.
Undo. What was my first change? So what's my first undo?
Divide by 10.
Thank you. And when I do that, my decimal point moves here. I have a second change. What was my second change? So what's my second undo? And I do that by shifting the digits or making it look like the decimal points change. So my final answer is 6.72. So you can see that using the standard algorithm, using unit form, and using fraction form, we get the same answer. And today's lesson is all about practicing using all of these different forms to do the same multiplication problem.